everyone, it's me, Kat. I have a review here today for you. I'm also going to be doing another tag that I got from Matham Books, but I'm going to be doing that after this because I really wanted to put a review up because it comes out today on June 18th. It is called Swimming to Elba by Sylvia Avalone. She's actually an Italian writer. Um, so it was originally written in Italian, but it was translated by Anthony something. I cannot read that book, that name. That's the name right there. Um, that's the back of it. That's the front, and then the side is just Swimming to Alba. Um, was a really, really good book. I got this like 5 days ago, and I read it within that time. It doesn't. You wouldn't think that it would take you that long because there's only 308 pages and it's fairly small. But if you think about it, it is a big book like this way, and the writing is fairly small. Um, but it was a really, really good book, and I really enjoyed it. Um, of course, since it was from like translated from Italian, there's a lot of like language differences. Um, but because I'm a reader, like you know what it is. This book is about two best friends. Um, Here, I'll just read the back of it and then I'll explain my notes and stuff like that. Okay, it says Anna and Francesca are on the brink of everything: high school, adulthood, the edge of ambition in their provincial town. It's summer in Piombino, Italy, and their skimpy bathing suits flaunting their newly acquired curves. The girls suddenly have everyone in their thrall. This power opens their imagination to a destiny beyond Piombino, the resort town of Elba. It's just a ferry ride away, yet they've never dared to go. When their friendship suffers a blow, the girls discover that their budding sexuality takes them further than they expect, though not as far as their dreams do. As their choices take them to painful crossroads, the girls must reconnect if they have any hope of escaping their destiny. In this poetic, prize-winning debut, Sylvia Avalone captures the lost innocence of a generation. Harrowing yet redemptive, Swimming to Elba is a story about the power of friendship and the ways that family, physics, physically, and economics shape our world. Um, it was a really, really good book. Um, but I'm going to do some of my notes. First off, first thing, within the first chapter, you learn that the two best friends are a blonde and a brunette. If you look at the cover, both girls are brunette. I would think if you put in your book in the first chapter that it's a blonde and a brunette, that you would have a blonde and a brunette on here because they do go to the beach. But other than that, I absolutely love the cover. I love the writing and that it's at the beach scene and everything. Um, they do go to a beach a lot, so it does connect with the book, except the whole blonde and brunette thing. Um, but like I said on the back, the two best friends' names are Anna and Francesca. There's a whole bunch of different people that revolve around Anna and Francesca, but they are the main characters of this story. One of the biggest things that I did not like about this book was that there was not much detail. The only really detail were in a couple of scenes, a couple of ways of describing girls' bodies, and that's about it. There wasn't really a lot of detail, especially when this was, it's set in 2001 in Italy, so it was kind of weird reading in the past. Um, but it's set in Italy, so I would think that the author would want to describe how beautiful the land is, because Italy is absolutely beautiful. No, I have not gone, but um, I want to, and I know that it's beautiful, so I would think that she would put a little bit more detail in it, but there wasn't that much detail. This is not a YA book. This is actually an adult book. Um, there are a lot of sex scenes in here. Maybe not to the effect of 50 Shades of Grey, but there are a lot of sex scenes in here. Um, it does have lesbian content in it, which I was very surprised to see. And I'm very happy that people other than United States are writing lesbian books. that I was very happy to see. But it does have lesbian content in it. It has a lot of sex scenes. There's a lot of swears in it. Um, there's a lot of drugs, strippers. Um, what else is there? A lot of violence. There's a lot of some domestic abuse that happens. So some of it is a little hard to read, especially because of my past. Um, but the author wrote it beautifully. Um, what else is there? Um, the next thing that I wrote down is that it always switches characters, and it's really, really confusing. In the beginning of the book, I'm going to put this down because you guys have seen the cover. In the beginning of the book, um, what she does is she goes from perspective to perspective. So it's kind of like, say, Anna's kind of narrating, and then the next paragraph will, like, I'll show you an example. Well, I don't know, like, where I could read from for an example, but, like, say in this top paragraph, it's like Anna's perspective, and then the next paragraph, without a break or anything, it would go to someone else's perspective without you even knowing. So it was kind of confusing to follow along with. By the end of the book, she started separating them into paragraphs. I don't know whether that was because she knew she was being confusing or if the translator did anything or something like that. Um, but it does switch a lot of characters. Of course, because you're reading the book and you know what's happening, you can figure it out. But I wish she would have put them in different paragraphs, or at least like made a comment about how it switched characters. Um, but other than that, the writing style is really great. Other than the character confusion, and of course the translation between Italian and English, um, and the little grammatical errors and stuff like that. Of course, it is a galley, so um, it wasn't perfect, but it was a really, really good book. The next thing is what I had said before, that there's not much detail about anything. I really don't like that. I am not one for a huge amount of details. I don't like when the author goes on and on and on about details, which is why I don't really read Stephen King, because it's like the whole chapter is just the description of like someone's hair. Um, but I wish she would have put a little bit more detail in it. Like I said, she did do a lot of detail with how, like, with the girls' bodies. Um, Sorry, that would be my house phone. Um, but yeah, she did do a lot of detail with the girls' bodies, and she did a lot of detail with, like, the sex scenes and stuff like that, but she did not do a lot of detail um, about characters or about the land or about anything like that. There was some detail about where they lived, but just because it was run down and it was horrible and stuff like that. But there wasn't that much detail. Next thing I put down is the cover art, which I already explained. Um, the other thing that I don't really like is that she put random facts about either a character or something in the book where it was not needed. Um, that it was just a random fact. It had nothing to do with what was happening. It had nothing to do with like anything. It was just this random fact that she threw in there. Um, it might have been because of the translation. I know there was there are some Italian words in there because they can't really be translated. And then she goes to try to explain it, and it's worded weird. Like one of the words for fried dough is in there, but she put the word and then she put a line to say that it was fried dough, and she didn't put just fried dough. She put like baked fried dough bread or something. Um, but it was like weird random facts that wasn't really necessary. Um, but yeah, so those are my notes. I did comment on the characters. I think the two main characters were very well written. They were very in tune with a lot of things. You really got to get to know them. But the rest of the characters, there wasn't really much about them unless they were doing something with the main characters. Um, you did get to know one of the fathers very well, and some of the families and stuff like that. But other than that, the only really character development was the two girls. Um, what else is there? I think that's basically it. I rated this a 4 out of 5 stars just because of some of the things that I didn't particularly like. But that doesn't mean that it's a bad book. You should all go and buy it if you are of age, because, like I said, it is an adult book. Um, I went black. Okay. It is an adult book. But like I said, it comes out today. It's a great, great book. If you have any questions or any comments or have read it or want to read it, put a comment below and I will gladly comment you back. And I will talk to you guys in my next video. Peace.